PCOS or hormonal imbalance, the biggest cause of headaches in women. What changes can these women can do in their lifestyle to prevent headache or migraines during their menopause? Why do some women get migraines during menopause while others do not?
Yes. So first of all, let me tell you that women do tend to get headaches, including migraine, more often than men. That difference between the genders, however, doesn't start until the early teens. And that has to do with the onset of menstruation. And that also tends to be a very important time when migraine headaches start in the early teens. If you talk to women with a history of migraine and you ask them, when did they start? They will very often say, when I was 11, 12, or 13 years old. You very often find the onset of migraine in women within a year of what we call menarche, the onset of menstruation. Another very common condition under which migraine headaches do start is pregnancy, believe it or not, very often after pregnancy rather than during pregnancy. And also the use of estrogen-containing birth control can certainly trigger the occurrence of migraine headaches. And very typically, these headaches that will occur during the week, if you take a cyclical estrogen-containing birth control for 3 weeks and then 1 week off, very often these headaches occur during the 1 week off, which may even prompt some people to say, including physicians, oh, that headache cannot be from the birth control because it occurs during the week you're off. But those headaches are triggered by estrogen withdrawal, so they typically occur in the placebo week on the day that you start with your bleeding. Headaches tend to get better as one gets older, in women very often related to the onset of menopause. Now, you certainly also do have women who never have headaches and start to get them when they become menopausal. I think that very often has to do with the development of low thyroid function. Low thyroid function or hypothyroidism is very common. It affects about 5% of the population, so 1 out of 20 people, and it's much more common in women than in men, and it tends to start between the ages of 40 and 60. And I think very often the development of hypothyroidism impact the regularity of the occurrence of the menstrual cycle so that people think they're going into menopause, and at the same time may be a reason for people to get headaches, including frequent headaches or intense headaches like migraine, and also may develop symptoms that they typically think are menopausal, like fatigue or hot flashes or night sweats or things like that. So I think that a lot of women, in fact, have an erroneous idea about what is happening to them, let's say between the ages of 40 and 60. They think they are going through menopause and having all these symptoms as a result of that, whereas they may well be developing low thyroid function or hypothyroidism. And that is something that I always urge people to look at that very specifically, looking at what we call the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, but also at the free thyroxine level, FT4, to make sure that that is not the reason why these women go through those changes that, as I mentioned earlier, are often attributed to menopause while they are from low thyroid function.
So, what changes can these women can do in their lifestyle to prevent headache or migraines during their menopause?
The first thing I would like to say is don't go on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. I know that that has come up again recently. People are advocating that again for a number of different reasons, which I feel bad about, having dealt with headache for my entire professional life and trying to help people, especially women, dealing with their headaches and finding to find treatment for that. Estrogens in general are bad for headaches. That's also why women have more headaches than men do. These headaches tend to occur in relation to the menstrual cycle, premenstrually, 1 or 2 days before menstruation, mid-cycle at the time of ovulation, at the tail end of menstruation. These are 3 times within the menstrual cycle that women are most sensitive to headaches, including migraine headaches. And they should be happy once these estrogens get out of their system, once they become menopause. So as far as I'm concerned, even if you have symptoms that maybe from menopause, don't go on to hormone replacement therapy. That may give you relief of those symptoms, but if you're prone to headaches, that is likely to make things worse and also take away from you the benefit that menopause brings to a condition, to a severe headache condition like migraine. Um, a lot of women have issues with insomnia. We talked about that earlier, how common that is. They sleep very poorly as a result of menopausal symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats. And I think the better way to go about that is to try to treat the insomnia the best you can. Not so much with sleeping medications, hypnotics, we call them in medicine, because they tend to make you sleep dependent on it. But there are medications out there that can certainly be helpful. There's one called trazodone, for example, which is an old-fashioned antidepressant medication that doesn't really work as an antidepressant. But a medication like gabapentin may be very helpful for that as well. So I would like to say, if it's sleep that is bothering you, and that is kind of the problem that you're experiencing, try to get treatment for that. Because very often the other symptoms really relate to that. If you don't sleep well at night, you're going to feel tired during the day. You're going to have feel like you're in a brain fog. So ensuring good sleep, I think, will be a good way in the right direction to try to solve those menopausal symptoms. There are also over-the-counter things that I have found helpful for patients to treat menopausal symptoms as well. So you can always rely on those. That's fine also. But I'm a strong believer that going on to hormone replacement therapy is not the right thing to do. But I know that a lot of people think about that differently. And I know also a lot of women will get upset when I say that. But I still say it because I believe that to be true. And I just hate to see us going back to where we were maybe 20 years ago, where women almost felt obliged or were forced by their doctors to go onto hormone replacement therapy for one reason or the other. I'm not a believer of that. No.
And is PCOS or hormonal imbalance the biggest cause of headaches in women?
I think it's the estrogens that drive the headaches in many women, and I think certainly in women of childbearing potential, so menstruating women, I think headaches are more likely related to the menstrual cycle than not. And I always, if women do not appreciate that themselves, which I'm sometimes amazed about, that they haven't noticed that, or haven't made that connection, I ask them to keep a headache calendar, a daily headache calendar, and that calendar also. On that calendar, also they need to keep track of the days of menstruation so that they can see if there is a relationship and what that relationship exactly is. Do these women have a hormone imbalance? Is a question that I have pondered for many decades, and I don't really have an answer to that. Some people believe that these people make excess estrogen, or they lack progesterone, which antagonizes some of the negative effects of estrogens on the body. I think in some women that certainly is possible, that they make too much estrogen. They tend to have other indications of that as well. For example, they have very long or heavy periods. But there are also women who have a normal menstrual cycle, they have normal menstruation, and they still get migraine headaches related to the menstrual cycle. So is a hormone imbalance something that generally plays? I would say no, but it certainly can be something that plays a role in some women. But I think only in those who have issues with either menstruation, like long, heavy, painful menstruation, or who have issues with their cycle. They don't menstruate frequently enough or too frequently, or they just have a very irregular menstrual cycle. So I think you do want to see something wrong with that cycle to assume that there is a issue with hormonal imbalance. And it's certainly not the case in all women who have migraine headaches related to the menstrual cycle, because I've seen plenty of women with unremarkable periods and a regular monthly menstrual cycle.